Hello.
Hello.
Wow. Welcome.
Wow.
This is episode 81 of the NgoVo
81.
Convo podcast where two stupids make a hype.
That's right.
Right?
It's hype.
It's hype.
It's hype for this one.
No, it's
right?
not. No.
Ah.
Absolutely.
You said it was hype. You said it was
not.
hype. I don't know what you're talking
No
about.
hype. I'm your host, NgoVo, and I'm joined by Harrison O. He's over there.
I'm right here. She's over there.
If you're new here, we both just want an excuse to talk about anything that ranges from anime to comics. But also, cough cough, Harrison has a very big backlog to... I mean, we both do. I'm just lying.
Well, no, but from our last episode, if you listen to it, my backlog's way bigger than yours.
Way bigger. But also, some would say it's conversing.
Like NgoVo Convo? NgoVo Convo?
Yeah,
right above my head?
Yeah, the logo's right above Harrison's head.
I spelled it before I even said it. So
yeah, I know.
Here we are.
Like, wow.
More coffee.
You can watch every episode on YouTube.com or listen to it as a podcast by searching NgoVo Convo and NgoVo Convo, like Harrison said earlier, on your podcast service of choice. We're on 10 different platforms. 10. If you can count up to 10, which most of us can. Harrison and I can. If we can, you
That's
can.
That's debatable sometimes.
Yeah.
But yes.
And in this episode, we are going to be talking about Avatar 2, The Way of Water. So if you actually haven't finished, well, no. If you haven't seen it in theaters, because it's still in theaters, go.
Okay, it's been a while.
Personally, don't go watch it. Wait until Disney Plus. But if you want to watch a 3-hour, 12-minute movie in the movie theater, your butt's going to be numb. That's about it. Yeah. And then come back to us. Listen to our review. But also, we are sponsored by Anchor, which we'll get into later. Much later.
Much later.
Yes. But Harrison, what are some of your non-spoiler thoughts? Because Avatar 1 came out when we were in high school, basically.
It was, didn't it come out like 2010? Like
2010.
tail end of 2010?
Yeah. Yep.
So it took about 13 years
Actually,
to come out?
no. 2009, I think.
Oh.
Hold yeah. 2009 was the first one.
Hold on. Really?
Yeah.
Movie. Well, okay. But regardless, so this movie, to me, was unexpected because I didn't think we needed to have A2. I thought 1 ended well, but then I remember he wanted to do a sequel. Yeah. But I don't know if this is just the meme of it or if someone actually said, or if he said it or it was said somewhere in an interview, but I think he said he wanted to wait until the technology could catch up. What he wanted in this,
But surprisingly, as they started doing publicity tours for Avatar 2, I think James Cameron wanted to do 5 movies, so he's doing 5 movies. Yeah.
Like if you search up Avatar, it will show the first 2, but it will actually show 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, 3, 4, and 5.
It is there.
Yep.
So I guess it's gonna happen.
Yeah. I mean, you even broke the news that 3 was going to be about fire people.
Spoilers, because we just did water. Now we're doing fire.
Fire, yeah.
We're doing Last Airbender stuff now?
Yeah, I know.
So anyway, but before we go off on a huge tangent, because we could go over that stuff in a bit. Non-spoiler thoughts. I think I had very low expectations because Veronica went first.
I did go first.
Thoughts. She went first. Yeah. I didn't go opening weekend either. I think because I was back at home with family and stuff. So it was around Christmas time, So we have all this stuff going on. So I went with a bunch of my friends, and they were all excited to watch. And it was weird for me. My expectations were so low, honestly, because story-wise, I think the first one's very simple.
I mean, it's something you can follow, really.
And I think that's
it's basically white people invading
indigenous. It's essentially the classic people. It's the classic white people coming in. We're gonna take over this indigenous people, fight back, blah blah blah, and then we have the one dude from that. Anyway, I will say the one negative to me is the plot is relatively the same, and but So I think they did a better way of doing the plot in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I think overall the movie was an enjoyable watch. But again, I don't know if my standards were like my expectations were set so
super low.
that everything else was okay. But I thought overall the movie was really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't notice this, but I thought I was like, oh, the tech, like, sure, it looks about the same. But then if you actually go back and watch the first one, like, I didn't watch the first one as like a recap or anything.
Oh, I did. They're bluer. They look more
Or
vivid.
yeah. Or like there's like some things that are like, oh, it did improve. Like there was some improvement.
Yeah.
So before someone said, oh, they waited this long for, I felt the same way when I watched it. I was like, why did he wait this long? And then I actually looked back. I'm like, oh, okay, damn.
Yeah.
But everything else looked visually good to me. I think the water was actually like I kind of
really
see why
pretty.
he wanted to wait. It looks really good because I'm like, okay, it's almost like game level where we're like, okay, this is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think the music was good. Visuals were really good. It was really pretty, like to watch. I think the action was better in this one because I think the animation was probably better in that front compared to the first.
Better, yeah.
Yeah. But I think the plot is probably like the negative for me. But again, I think it's one of those you give or take triangle type things. Like you can have like amazing music, amazing visuals, but then here's the plot.
Yep.
Only pick two. And I think he picked those two.
Yep.
And
I agree.
I'm not saying like the plot wasn't like super bad, but I think it's just because if you watch the first one and you watch this one, you're like, okay.
If you want to compare and contrast 1 and 2, 1 had the better plot, but 2 has better animation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So overall, I think it's a fun watch. I do agree with Veronica though. I want to make sure the actual runtime because
it's 3 hours 12 minutes.
I kept saying, why do I keep saying 4 then?
No, it's
'cause I thought it was closer
12.
to 4.
You're probably thinking 4 because you're gonna add in trailers, you're gonna add in credits. That's gonna be 4.
Is that the full runtime? Is the full runtime 4? Is that what it was?
That's the full runtime is 4.
Okay.
But the movie, from the start, the moment you see Jake to the end of Jake's face at the end, it's 3 hours 12 minutes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. It is 3 hours 12. Okay.
Yeah.
Why did I keep thinking 4? I know.
Well, no, you're thinking 4 because it's everything.
It says 3 on Google too.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. Well, for the first
that,
time, we're actually disagreeing. Because I did. Yeah, 2023 is a new year for us. We're going to start disagreeing.
Really quick, I will say, because of that runtime, wait until Disney Plus or wherever they're going to drop that. I assume Disney Plus. Just because Avatar's on there already. Yeah, it's already on there. So I recommend that. So.
Yeah, I did not like it. Like, if there was a rating, like, we usually do not rate stuff on here, typically from a scale of 1 to 10. But if me personally rating this, it's a 3 out of 10. Like, I did not like it. And I feel like I'm a minority because your group really enjoyed it. Or to the extent, I am happy your group enjoyed it.
They matched the vibe of the audience score on Rotten Tomato.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't put it that high. Because they like Rotten Tomato put like at a 92 or something, 95 or 92, I think.
92.
But I wouldn't give it this a 9, but I would give it like at least a 6 and maybe a 7, depending on how I feel. But
yeah. No.
Most likely 6 because it's like I think I gave it a 7 because I was like more surprised that I liked it more than I thought.
Yeah, but then you start thinking about it and you're like,
But there are times I'm like, okay, but it probably is just a 6 for me.
Yeah. I put it at 3. I hated this movie 1000%. I didn't like anyone. I didn't like the plot. The only thing I liked was the animation and the music.
That's fair.
So that's two things. I didn't even like the fighting that much. There was one fight that I really liked, and it's going to be in our spoiler, but that's about it.
Yeah.
I went into this movie with no expectations, except for the fact that it was yet another 3-hour movie that we had to sit in, because Black Panther was 3 hours, like Eternals is 3 hours. I think that's the new standard now. It's like a movie has to be 3 hours.
I hope not.
I really hope not. But I was dreading sitting there because I knew my butt was going to be so numb.
Yeah.
Sitting there. But yeah, I had no expectations. I knew animation was going to be really good because we're, in 2022? Basically, they made this in 2019. So, obviously...
Or 2009?
Or...
You said 2019?
Avatar 2? 2019?
Oh, Avatar 220. Yeah, they started... Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
So, obviously, like, 2009 versus 2019, 2020 animation and, like, CGI is going to be really better.
That's what it was. I remember hearing the news of, like, he started production at that point. He waited 10 years.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the decade I was thinking. I was like, not 13. There was a clean number.
And then, so I was like, okay, animation is going to be really good. Like, I know that's going to be really good because it's James Cameron, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I start sitting in it and watching it and seeing the plot, and I'm just like, oh no, it's one all over again. And we'll just, like, go into it in spoiler.
We'll go deep
more,
yeah.
But...
I agree. That's what my issue was with the plot was. It felt like I was rewatching one, but I have a thought.
With some differences.
Yeah, with some differences. Yeah. And I think it's because it's bringing the movie back after so long. So it's probably pulling the Star Wars reboot or the new trilogy thing where it's like it's pulling from the old one in a sense. Yeah. Because it's easy to follow, and I would like to think that the next few ones hopefully are going to be a bit more complex.
I hope so. But yeah, those are my non-spoiler thoughts. To me, I'm in the minority. I'm in the hater train. I do not like this movie for many reasons. Many, many reasons. But if you enjoy it, that's great. I know Harrison did.
That's good on you.
That's good on you. No, I'm happy that you all enjoyed it. It was a long movie. Thank God y'all liked it.
But would I pay money again? Because we watched it in Dolby.
Oh,
Really quick, we watched it in Dolby, and I think that also soured my mood because I guess I don't care. That's the other thing. I wasn't invested enough to care about this. I know, like, some of my friends were like, or a couple, I don't remember who, but someone's like, they cared more about having a big picture. I was just like, okay, that's fine. But like then
that's the wide one, right?
Yeah, I think it's a super wide one.
Like super wide, yeah.
So, to me, I didn't care too much because it's like, I guess I don't know how much I care about Dolby. If it was Dolby IMAX, if we did that,
yeah,
like Dolby IMAX with 3D or something, sure. Yeah. If I'm already spending money, we're gonna go all in. But I think, I personally think it was okay. I would have just went with like a normal standard watch.
That's what I did. I did 3D. But here's the great thing: my tickets are free. A coworker gave me some free pass.
Yeah.
I went 3D. Yeah.
Would I pay for Dolby? No. I didn't. I don't really care about having my butt being massaged during the whole thing.
Oh my god!
I don't know if have you been to a Dolby movie?
No, I haven't. I have not.
So it uses because it's Dolby audio. Like they I don't know how this is true. Like the visuals, they say it's more black. Like they use more blacks, or it's blacker or darker, and everything and it's supposed to have better contrast. I don't know how the truth is that.
Yeah.
Because I sometimes can't test that, but they use the audio, like you get the spatial audio in the sense of like it's almost 4D-esque in that something's happening, like explosions. Brrr.
Oh.
Okay, or like flying around. It's using
like
your chair and like some sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like it's better tech than like the old 4D from like years ago, sure. But I was like, I don't really care much for this, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't need to be that. I guess if I wanted to be immersed,
that immersed into the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I see.
Anyway.
Well, do you have anything else before we go on our break? No.
Let's hear you talk about the details.
Oh, wow. Okay. But before that, we're going to take a quick break to talk about our sponsors. On today's episode, we are sponsored by Anchor. It is a free podcast hosting service that we actually use. We've been using Anchor since we've started the podcast. It's because there are creation tools that allow us to record and edit the podcast right from our phones and computers. A huge plus for us is that Anchor would distribute our podcast to all platforms such as Spotify, Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, and many more. It really is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one spot. Please download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm, anchor.fm to get started. Wow, and we're back on that coffee break, water break, whatever break, alcohol break. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, whatever time it is.
Yeah, whatever time it is. Yeah. Wow, what a weeby mug. Oh, wow. I just noticed that. Okay. Well, since I have a lot of cons, we're going to go with pros first. Let's go positive then negative. Positives. Okay, so we can agree that animation. Oh, also it's spoiler alert, so we're going to be spoiling territory also as well. But yeah, pros. Animation was really good. Did you notice their eyes? Did you notice how detailed their eyes were in this movie?
Comparatively?
Yeah, comparatively to the first one.
Yes, I did notice that.
Because you could see, the cool thing about Avatar 2 was that there was a lot of eye motion like scenes, and you can tell, like, you can see like reflections and like people in them, or like, you know, just like shadows, plants, whatever's going on in the background. I thought that was really, really cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I was talking about with like the style, animation, everything. It was, if you start paying attention, you notice that there is a jump from the first one.
Oh yeah.
Like the first one was really good, and I'm saying that like the tech was already like crazy back then thinking about it. And right now there are some jumps that are like, oh, it still kind of has the same thing, but the detail is not. It's now we're at the detail part.
Yeah.
For, like all this kind of stuff. It's the same thing with gaming, where it's like you start noticing, like you said, you start noticing like the reflections.
Like the reflections.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what I forgot? That Jake Sully is like 10 feet tall when he's like in this like Avatar mode. I'm like, oh my goodness, this man is tall.
What do you mean? That's just him now. That's his body.
Yeah, I know. But like, I'm just like, oh my goodness, this man is super tall.
It is crazy because there is that section when they introduce like the bad guys, and it's like you're reminded of like how short
like
humans are in comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. But also, I think the pro in this is that their dynamic of family wise is really funny because they have 3 kids. No, 4. They have 4 kids.
They have 4.
They have 4.
One's adopted.
Yeah, one's adopted. Sort of. That one was a weird one.
We'll talk about that one.
Yeah, well, that's in my con, but we'll talk about that.
That's in my con too.
Okay, yeah. So they have 4 kids, and the dynamic between, so there's 2 boys, 2 girls. So it goes like boy, like the oldest is a boy, and then the next is a girl, and then boy, and then girl. Basically, they had kids like boy, girl. I think the dynamic between the 2 oldest was so funny. Did you notice that she called him a penis head, and he just like hissed at her?
It is funny because when you hear it from like these guys, you think Navi are like super like indigenous, like, in the sense of like they're proper, like they're very the way they would talk is weird, but these kids are also raised up with like human like,
emotions and like human like actions.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny because in the beginning, that you pan into Pandora, and like Jake's like is talking about how he's kind of immersed in this world now, and he had to get used to the language and everything like that's going on. And so then he talks about how, you know, they have kids, and they just did like a quick flashback, and it's just so funny because the language is Navi, right? But then we're given the English translation because it's basically through Jake's eyes and ears in this movie, and it's just so funny because Kiri is just like, you penis head. Jake's just like, oh my goodness, who are we raising?
That's true. I totally forgot about that. I thought that was interesting because it's true. Because then they transition it to where he learned how to speak well,
like
and everything.
Speak more of it, yeah. And I thought the family dynamic. That's why I liked a lot was the family dynamic, because you have 2 really strong parents, right? Because they were like strong. I think they were strongly suited for each other in the first movie, but when you see them as parents, you can really tell Jake's really struggling between like being a dad or being like a leader.
He's the typical military dad. Yeah. Actually, too. Yeah. Because if you notice how like the children address him and all that, is like sir and everything. I'm like, that's typical. Like that's super typical. Like with military families. So, or like the way how they interact with each other is like very. It's very like
stereotypical. Yeah. And I thought that was really interesting to see. Yeah. But the youngest girl is probably my favorite because she was the comedic relief to me.
Oh, 100%.
100%. She just had some of the funniest lines. And
Okay, we're gonna jump to it because the best one, I think, it just took me out of it. Was at the end where they get capped. Okay, again, we said spoilers. They get captured, and she's like, they lock up like two of them, and she's one of them. Actually, locked up to two girls.
Yeah, the two girls.
And afterwards, all three. There was three of them. The brother as well. I can't remember names if you have.
Oh yeah, me too. Names are not that great.
But she gets locked up. They escape, and all of a sudden they capture her again. She's like, "Oh man!" Like essentially, it's like, "Oh man, I'm locked up." Not again. I was like, "Dude, I don't know what."
She almost broke the fourth wall. I noticed she almost wanted, like, I think the actress wanted to look in the camera and say, like, "Oh no, I'm captured again." But like, I think she stopped herself and she just like her eyes just panned over to something else.
Oh, okay. I was like, I think the writers were probably having fun with that one. They're like, we knew it was gonna happen, so yes, not again.
Yeah, not again. But yeah, the baby, she was just a comedic relief.
But otherwise, I agree. I love the dynamic. I love the family dynamic.
Yeah.
And everything.
You said you liked the fighting earlier.
So I did.
Okay.
But I'm not saying. But okay, I wish I said this before spoilers.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good, but I meant to say it's good in comparison to the first. I'm not saying there weren't that many.
No.
When you really think about it.
No. Yeah.
There was like, I could count like maybe 3 or 4 sequences.
About 4, I think.
About 4.
Yeah.
And it's like there's not a lot of action. So that's why I'm assuming the next one will have way more action. Because this one literally was just setting up. And you know it. What I did... So, action I can't say too much. But I think otherwise, like, what I did like a lot, and I forgot to say this earlier, is the world building. It feels like I understand how everything works in this world so far.
And I
even
think
from the first one.
And I think that's what makes this plot so simple, and that's a plus for me, because if you're going to go into Avatar 2 without remembering or knowing 1,
that's true.
Like,
yes.
It's really simple to follow, because basically, what's his name? The Colonel whatever, the villain Colonel. I don't know.
I'm gonna look. Hold on.
I forgot his name.
I got you.
Basically, the Colonel is back into 2 as the villain, because spoiler, in 1 he died.
Yeah.
But they took his mind and put it in someone else's like body, basically, like Avatar body that they made, and so he's now like, back as the villain.
Colonel Miles Cortic?
Cortich?
Cortich?
Cortich.
I don't know.
Well, whatever
Miles,
it is,
Colonel
he
Miles
was the
or whatever.
villain again. And
Yes.
to me, I don't think he really needed to be a villain again. Like, I wish they had another one, like a newer one.
I think they just needed to make it quick and easy.
Yeah.
As they build it up.
Yeah.
That's the part where it felt copy paste.
Yep.
Was the usage of characters felt copy paste. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But the fights between him and Neytiri, was that what Zoe's?
Yes, Neytiri.
Neytiri. Yes. I think that fight, when I'm gonna jump around again, but I think one of my favorite fights was when Neytiri took Spider and said, like, a son for her line that said, when she said a son for a son, a mother's rage. You never cross that line, really.
Sorry, that's coffee on mine.
Oh, that's okay. More coffee. But yeah, I feel like if you're a mom, like every mom that has seen this movie and has reviewed it have said, like, you never want to cross that threshold of seeing a very angry mom when a child is like taken away. Like, she almost killed his quote unquote son, Spider.
Yeah.
Out of spite. And I think it was very interesting to see that fight go on, because you can tell the Colonel started caring about Spider throughout the movie, and the dynamic between those two was really messed up. But it was like
Yeah.
kind of like emotional attachment more than anything.
It's crazy because he's technically not even. They're not even related. 'Cause
No.
the only connection is that it's the Colonel's consciousness, so he knows of all these things.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it is not him. It is not him in that body. It is just his
Like mind and soul, basically. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
transferred everything.
That was one of my favorite fights. The one out of the 4. Yeah. The ending.
I agree.
That was really good. Do you have any
Yeah,
other
I guess
pros? Anything else you want to add?
let's see what I say. Dynamic. I like seeing what I did. So I did like. So this is this is a double-edged sword. I will give this the pro on this part is I would go back to it. Seeing the rest of everything being built up, because initially all we knew of was I guess now we know them as the Forest Navi, the one that fly around and stuff.
Yeah, the Forest Navi. Yep.
Earth. I'm just trying to make sure, but no. So yeah,
Plants?
Forest Navi, plants. So that was interesting, but then now we got to see the water. I didn't notice. This is cool now because I can't wait to see the other. I do kind of want to see the other ones now for this.
Yeah.
The pigmentation of their skin is different.
It's different. Yep.
And then even their eyes are
Yep.
different. So at first I didn't even notice that, and I just assumed like in the
Really?
trailer. Well, no, in the trailer. Sorry,
Oh,
in the trailer, I didn't
okay.
catch that was different Navi
Yeah.
until like the movie when they explain like, oh, we're different because like their arms are thicker and they're like,
And
oh,
their
these guys
tails are
lanky.
longer. And
Yeah, their tails are
They're
because they can
quite
actually
beefy.
swim.
The
Yeah.
water.
I mean, it makes sense because they have to work more. They have to
Yeah.
swim around and do stuff and actually like work their body more. While
Well,
Forest Navi,
Jake,
they
just have fly.
they just fly around. Yeah.
Just fly around.
But they're nimble and they're like fast and all that. So that's it's gonna be interesting to see the other types of Navi because, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched, they're gonna do fire.
Yeah, they're gonna do fire next, which will be interesting because I'm thinking about it. I'm like, why?
Are they
Like
gonna be
fire-
red?
Yeah, I was gonna be like, exactly. I was like, are they gonna be red with yellow eyes? Like, are they gonna be agile because they're fire? Like, how is this gonna work? You know?
See, this is the stuff that I'm like, okay, I'm curious for like these little things, and I really only wanted to watch because I was curious of like what the hype
What
is
was
because
the
people
hype?
kept saying
Yeah.
they liked it a lot, right? The movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, my group said they liked it. And I mean, I kind of sit almost in the same boat where I think it was fun to watch. And I think what I had fun was I started getting attached to these characters. One, the negative was the movie was long. But two, but on the flip side, it did give me time to get used to these characters.
And the world
kind of,
again. Yeah.
Yeah. And that would have been my issue if they introduced all these characters, like all the children essentially. Like this is Avatar 2 Young Avengers.
Yeah.
I was worried that they were gonna just be like, we're gonna kill off all the parents and here
Here are the children. Yeah.
Here are all the children that deal with it. So I'm glad they didn't fully do that, but yeah, I guess it was and I say attachment because when you said 3 kids, it's because one of them, I didn't want to say yeah because I wanted to point to this. It's because one of them died.
Yeah.
Did you expect that?
I knew one of them had to die because when you think about it, they always favored the oldest son, which is what's his name? I forget. Natium?
Natayam, yes.
Natayam?
Yeah.
I almost said Nathan, but Natayam works.
Yeah. The first son. Oh yeah,
because
Loak is the second one.
Loak is the second one, yeah.
Or second son.
Second son, yeah. But Natayam, throughout the movie, you could tell that he was the oldest. Like his parents loved him slightly more, because you know how like the oldest, they're, you know, firstborns, they're always like taken care of. They don't really get in trouble that much. They follow command, as like Jake Sully would always say about Natayam.
Yeah.
But I knew one of them just had to die because there was just no way all 4 could live.
Yeah, I knew there was going to be a death.
Yeah.
I just didn't know who was going to die.
I never thought Jake Sully was going to die because he has to be the main character.
You're right. No, I didn't think Jake would have died.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, honestly, near the end, I thought Neytiri was going to die.
I didn't. Because she was not in the movie that much.
Sorry. I thought I say at the end, I thought she was gonna die before the sun died.
Like, before
Once
the
the
sun
sun
died.
died, I was like, all right, that's it. But
Yeah.
then they kind of wanted to pull they could die, blah, blah. I was like, no, they're gonna get saved.
Yeah.
The sun's death was it.
Yeah.
Or
Taeyeon's death.
Taeyeon's death was it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
But-
it was interesting.
we're starting to get into the negatives
The
because the
negatives.
plot points for me is when I have a lot of fucking
Okay.
questions.
Well, I have no more positives. It was
No,
a very
it's
short
fine.
list for me.
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
I
but
like
we could.
world building, all that stuff is good. But then now, the details.
It's the negatives. I think what
Can
is one of your biggest gripes about this movie?
The amount we have to assume on the initial front.
Yeah.
When you first start watching, this is why I started thinking the plot point is you have I'm usually okay with suspending some disbelief,
Mm-hmm.
but this one is we waited this amount of time. We have to assume something's happened. But for instance, okay,
Oh boy.
how does the colonel have a kid? Okay,
Yep.
I don't understand that. I really don't understand.
And Spider is human.
It's human.
And he
So-
was raised on Pandora.
It's just 'cause he was left.
Yeah, he was left there. But basically he was he forced himself into the Na'vi ways. In my opinion,
Oh,
because Na'vis did not like humans, but he just sort of pushed himself into those kids.
I feel like he's it's exactly what Jake said. It's one of those the outsiders just as when they grow up they're just kids, right? But the kids like each other, so it's what do you do?
Yeah.
Because he's also human, so it's for him that's
He understands.
He understands. He's like, okay, well this kid's stuck here. He's growing up because they can't cryo freeze a baby.
Yeah.
Apparently, I mean that's just that's the physics or whatever, right? We don't. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Okay, yeah.
I didn't feel like it was forced. I think it was just he was forced into that situation, but he didn't force himself. I think it's just kind of
It just kind of happened. They were kids.
because when he grew up, it's when you grow up, it's the boy living with the with lions, for instance, or with certain animals.
Certain animals.
That's all he knows, right? So I guess he could just
I guess.
yeah. I mean, there's the scientist. I don't know. Yeah. Again, there's a lot of assumptions with that one. So you're right. That's one thing that was kind of weird. But I just took it. I was like, all right, fine. He's just growing up, sure, whatever. That's probably more fun to play with Navi anyway than sitting with test tubes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So let's be real.
What are your other assumptions?
The other one was the adopted daughter. What's her name? Kiri.
Yeah.
She's born after, right?
So Grace is her mom, and
Grace
Grace
is her
was
mom.
from the first movie.
Yes, the scientist.
The scientist that was very curious about Pandora. She didn't want to kill anyone. She wanted to be peaceful. And I think where you're going with this is that no one knows Kiri's dad. And I
But
think
by the end of the movie, no, initially. So I don't know if you caught this. Initially, I was like, did they just pull a Virgin Mary off of Grace?
Off of Grace, yeah.
But I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let it sit. And then slowly you start noticing she has powers, and by the end she just has powers, and they kind of allude to who could be the dad and all this stuff. I'm like, oh god, they just made her the Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, no, I did notice that. Yeah. It's something about, I think, was it one of the water people, they started noticing her powers and stuff and said a specific line about mother of something.
Yeah.
I
forgot what the who they worship.
Yeah,
The Navi,
same.
but essentially she was like, oh, I can feel her all around, blah, blah. I was like, yep, she's the Jesus Christ
She
of
is
this
Jesus
universe.
Christ. Yeah.
Because at the end she saved everyone. I knew she was gonna become that.
The savior,
the person that saves the whole
yeah,
family.
Yep.
I already kind of had that feeling, but yeah, I guess I just didn't like how we had to assume. Who knows? They'll probably go into it more, but it was kind of a weird when they were introducing. It was oh, this happened. Oh, this happened. By the way, well, you can't. You have to accept it.
I'm gonna
this
go
is what it is.
off of that, but
Yeah.
the Kiri situation, they had one scene about it, like looking over Grace
Mm-hmm.
and her being like, "Oh, Mom, I miss you," but then you start forgetting that she's the like adopted sibling, basically, because Jake just calls her daughter, like they're just his kids, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
she like they took her in when she was a baby, so it makes sense,
so,
right?
yeah. But to me, I felt like you are right on the assumption thing. Like, okay, so no one knows who the dad is. Someone at some point, Spider was like, "So who did it with your mom?" And she was like, "I don't know." we were just kind of like strung along with that assumption.
I think the other thing was because they were just explaining it, and this is probably one thing we're missing is how long she was alive, because the way they made it sound was, wait, no, didn't she die at the end? She died. Yeah. So so I was right. Okay, never mind. Scratch what I said. Because she just died. Because those two people died in that movie. So we're like,
what's going on?
Like, that's just the weird thing. Coming into the movie, that was the weird part for me. I was like, I'm already having to like readjust myself for the movie. Now I had to assume a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that. So that's, yeah. Sorry, you're jumping off of at some point.
Oh, no, I was just going to say I had a lot of negatives because obviously at the very beginning we were talking about like how white people to go, you know, they go into other people's areas.
Showing humans are assholes, yes.
Yeah, basically, and indigenous people are like being taken over. And I just felt
it's funny because we say white, but we really just like the European like conquest thing.
European conquesting, yeah.
It's the classic story of that. Because I was like,
Pocahontas. That's what happened. That's what I thought about.
Classic Pocahontas.
Yes.
That's what it was.
Yeah. No, but I think for me, when I looked at what irked me a lot was that when you look at the actresses list, there's no respect for actual indigenous people, because if you look at Black Panther 2, Ryan hired Mayans. Like he hired like real Mayan like culture, and like he taught everyone, you know, everything that they need to know. And it really irked me that Kate Winslet was in this movie. She was the pregnant mom in the water tribe.
That's right. I remember seeing her name on the movie. I was like, oh, okay, she'll probably have a big role, but I just never noticed because they're blue. They're all blue. So
they're all blue.
How am I supposed to know?
But I think to me the way, and I know it's like gonna be a movie, and everyone's like, it's just a movie and yada yada yada. But I think for me the way that you need to respect indigenous like, you know, areas and language, and I know Navi is like not like a true language, but if you think about it, you know, like Native Americans and like their language, their culture, it's very similar to how this is, you know. So that really irked me. I was just like, oh god, not this again. Not a white man trying to interpret like this world again.
And I think it's hard to say because to me it's just the fallback will always just with Avatar will always be it's a fantasy, so it has influences, but it's told like these are just aliens, right? At the end of the day, these are just aliens. So I can see where that frustration, and I think it's because now, like compared to before, I heard the same negative from like a few of my family members when we went to watch it a while back, and they're like, this is just the typical Pocahontas thing. Yeah. So this is nothing crazy, but now we have the exposure of like more cultural awareness, and I think COVID. I honestly think we got spoiled by that. Yeah. Spoiled as in like MCU, because they do so much research, they do all these things to like, and not like just to essentially like to be more inclusive, and I think this part that you're talking about is a byproduct of like 20 years ago, and that's just, it is what it is.
But also we are like we're adults, so we're slowly getting into the process of like we're in a sensitive world right now. Like if you notice politics and like
Yeah.
war, like you start noticing a lot of more stuff, or you start reading more, like being more like wanting to know more knowledge, like seek knowledge, you know, read more things over like the land of America basically and how people took over really. So I think if James Cameron would have done more research, and I totally understand because I get it, it's a fantasy, they're just aliens,
Right. Yeah.
but like you know,
but because the influence, I get what
the
you're trying
influence
to say.
of everything and like how sensitive this world is and how much like culture was like taken. Like I get both sides. I just did not like how there was not a lot of like POCs, people of color in this movie. He literally took a lot of, there was a lot of white people in this list.
And so I guess here's my devil's advocate point. Do you think it's because he focused more on the environmental awareness that he's trying to push?
I want to say yes, because there was a lot of environmental.
So that's why I was. So initially, I got what you meant by that, but I really do believe that his focus is more on the environmental aspect of like just
The
environmental
anti-whaling.
awareness, like anti-whaling, and because the last one was essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
Like what was it? What was it? Gas or something? I
It
forgot
was,
what it was. But using like the fuel.
So fuel.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Being
fuel efficient. He wanted to be
fuel efficient.
Yeah.
But and not just like, but like, you know, that was a whole thing. So I think his focus on this one really, and it probably will be the same idea for all his movies. It's just more environmental awareness and activism on like fighting against like these things that happen in our day, like in our world.
In
right?
our
like,
world.
So the whaling, the equivalent of that was like that sequence, which I thought was. I will go back. So that was another action sequence that I thought was fun, but it's because I like not the I don't know what they call it, but they're whales.
They're whales.
He kept saying they're not whales, but did you hear how he's like they're not whales. I'm like, all right, whatever, man. But
they're whales.
But I think that's my point, not against it, but like my counter argument to probably why there was not why there was not as much focus, because it's one of those. He probably went all in on the marine, like even like the marine biologist, like helping them out.
Yep.
In that movie, he was apprehensive, but it's like he got to like actually explore and understand the world. So
yeah,
I think this like sprinkle that stuff. I think that's the bigger focus to him is that,
which is fine. He'll make those people happy.
But so that's I'm not
I
saying
guess
that he
you cannot
shouldn't,
make everyone happy, because I'm on the.
Because the worst part will always come back to. Why do you care? They're just blue.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
true.
No,
I even said that. It's true.
Yeah.
They're blue. They're I almost said animals. They're aliens. It's fantasy. I totally get it. But I think just
I get what you mean.
You know, the root of everything, and in the society that we're in, everyone's sensitive. You gotta be inclusive. It's just how the world works right now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
I was gonna say, as a historical buff to some extent, this is also the issue with like the U.S. with the indigenous part, like Native Americans and all that. I think that's the issue of like how it's handled in our country.
Yeah.
So you saying POC, I think it's even worse when you start talking about like the Pocahontas story in a sense.
Yeah.
Because it's never ever actually.
It was never that
as well.
cute.
No media right now addresses that issue as well.
Yeah.
Whenever you look in history, and you bringing that up is just showing like it's still an issue. Yeah. Honestly. So. And
maybe Gen Z can fix it. Maybe someone from the Gen Z can fix it. I don't know.
I will also say, this is how the movie felt for me too. Is like pushing it onto the next generation to like work out the problems we have now too.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, all right, cool. Not wrong.
Not wrong. Were there any characters that you just despise to your core?
So the existence of spiders is annoying.
Yes.
So again, we talked about it initially. I think it's just how he's introducing the story is already not very weak. And he's supposed to be the guy that's like the gray the gray area between the Na'vi and the humans.
And the humans, yeah. He's the middleman, basically.
He is literally the middleman. And it was weird to follow that section. It was interesting. So the interesting part when he was with the Colonel is really just seeing how humans act in the Na'vi body. Mm-hmm. Which we saw before. It's just we got to see more of it, I guess.
More of it, yeah.
But now we get to see them like try to
adapt. They were adapting in Pandora.
But then again, Spider was just kind of like, I'm the translator. I'm like, but you're so useless.
Exactly.
And literally just, yeah. To me, in this movie, he was not the greatest. The other one I got annoyed with a lot was Loak.
He had second son syndrome.
He did.
Yeah. And that was very annoying.
I get it. I get it. I get it. But it was just very annoying. And I don't know if that's either really, really good, like, acting or just...
yeah. Or the
really,
script.
Really, or the script. Yeah. I was like... Because it's like the same issue of like people got annoyed with like certain characters, but it's because the actors did a really good job of making you not like them because they're not supposed to be liked.
Yeah.
But it's like that weird thing of like he's like, oh, no one understands me. I'm like, yeah, sure. To an extent, I understand. Like, I'm like, I agree with that. No one gives a shit about you. I can tell.
Oh yeah, no one cares about.
But I think at the end it was like nice that Jake finally is. I see you.
I see. Easter egg from the first one. I see you.
Oh man, it's beautiful. But
I agree. Those two characters.
It was just annoying. Like no. But what was really annoying, it's not the character herself, but just how she's always there. The daughter, the youngest
Kiri?
daughter.
No.
Tuck.
Tuck.
Yeah.
Tuck.
I forgot. Tuck. I forgot.
Tuck.
It's not that she was bad. She was just always there. And they always cause an issue.
Yep.
And it's like, oh no, we got to get her. I was like, you keep bringing her in. So it's not saying that she's the issue. It's just they keep bringing her around as a family. I'm like, sure, get it. But she's always there when bad things about to happen.
And she never gets in trouble for it. Never.
It's just, and I mean, that's
she's
just
the baby.
Typical. She's the baby.
She's the baby.
So they're going to obviously pick on Loak because it was his bad idea.
Loak was the issue in this movie. He was just the issue.
Yeah, and that's why I keep saying, like, I can't tell if they did a really good job with the plot and making me just get really annoyed with him. But his arc was kind of weak, but it just, if anything, solidified he's like an outsider, right?
Yeah. No one understands him besides the whale.
Yeah. Besides the whale. Which, it's cool. That's fine. That makes sense. Yeah, those are my two. But or are they the same as yours?
No, they are the same as mine because So Spider was on like the weaker end for me as well. Like I just didn't have a thought about him even when he was off screen. Like I legitimately forgot about him. Because when he got captured by the Colonel, like that's the other thing. You don't really see what happens with Spider and the Colonel. There's a big gap, right? He gets kidnapped. And then he makes a deal, right, to be their translator and to make sure that they adapt really well in Pandora. Yep. But we don't see the part where they bond and like spend a lot of time. You're kind of assuming they're spending a lot of time together, right? Because he's he's being kidnapped basically. So they have to monitor him like 24/7 so he doesn't leave and whatnot. But going into that, I thought Spider towards the end saving his dad after Jake did all that work to leave him at the bottom of the ocean to die, and then Spider just picks him up.
I think I like this guy. I think I actually like this guy. Let me do you a solid. Come with me, boy.
Yeah, I know. No, exactly. And so it's just like, you're going to save this villain that Jake almost died trying to kill, and his family basically almost dying to escape.
No, he's going to be 100%. He's going to somehow flip in the next couple movies. That's my bet right now.
You think so?
Just because I think so. Even because this time in this movie, they were trying to make you think he wavered, but they also showed like he's very loyal.
Yeah.
But because he saved the
The
Colonel,
Colonel. You think Spider will flip?
no, Jake will flip him. He'll be like, dude,
Ah.
how is it gonna be like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Type of moment, and then he gets like ostracized or some shit.
Do you think Kiri will follow Spider? Because those two have some type of romantic, like thing going on. You know,
like they care about like they care about each other
yeah.
a lot. Maybe, or she'll probably try to save everyone.
Him. Yeah,
she'll be like
everyone.
that. She's gonna be the savior. Let's be real, and she's gonna be like She's gonna be the reason where it's like, oh no, we should love everyone. That's my bet. All right, I'm putting my bet now is that Spider's gonna get kicked out, and then Kiri's gonna be the one to be like, oh no, like the one that unites everyone, including Spider.
Including Spider. Interesting. Did you have any other cons before I get into an interesting fact? Before we close out.
No, again. That's why I don't knock as many points, because I think really the plot is everything. Like there's so much things that are tied up that we just have to kind of accept. And there are like the characters, like even though I don't like them, I understand what James Cameron is doing, because he is literally. I mean, Homeboy saves the Colonel for Avatar 3.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's be real. Again, we don't need another movie, but we're gonna give reasons to make more movies.
To make 3 more.
To make three more.
More.
And don't you want to see more blue people? Sure. Whatever.
I mean, I can wait till Disney Plus next time.
Yeah, I might. Honestly, we'll see.
Yeah.
But that's why I don't knock as many points, because the rest of the movie I thought was okay. It's just a lot of plot stuff I have issues with. Okay. Before you go through your fact thing, I don't know how you felt about this. My other thing was, this is another con for me was, I get getting inclusive with the water tribe. Mm-hmm. I wish they did that in a better way, because Jake left the tribe because he wanted to save them. I think it would, but felt like that was
another tribe in that process.
I think, that plot wise, that okay, sure, why not? I get it. I think it would have been more impactful, because my sister-in-law actually brought this up after the movie, and she made a good point. I'm going to give her credit on this one. She was like, why not burn the forest?
Oh, true.
Why not give them an actual reason to leave?
Yeah.
Not saying that, because it originally was only the family that left, but why not just make it a small enclave?
Yeah.
So then it feels like they have to integrate, and then the tribes get combined and stuff. And I was like, that's true. I would have felt like that would have been more impactful of like why they had to leave. Like, sure, they're getting attacked and stuff, and they're hunting Jake, but I think, well, again, I don't know how they're handling the other movies. Who knows? I think James Cameron wants a big end game battle where like everyone comes out and is like, here's this big army and all that stuff. So we'll see. That's probably why he didn't purge. That's probably why he didn't purge most of them.
Yeah.
But I feel like as a thing where it's like, oh yeah, because they're already burning stuff up.
I mean, half of Pandora.
They're already burning stuff up. So they're like, so why not just say we burned them, but have. And some of them die, sure, like, right? Give them reason to, like, grieve and all this stuff, and then have them move out to the water tribe. Not just the family, but, like, have, like, some of them, whoever is left, come with them.
Yeah.
Because to me, I think that would have been more impactful. But
instead of just Jake Sully's family.
Yeah. Because then it's interesting to watch them go. But I think it would have been interesting to see it that way. And I think it would have been added more, like, weight.
To the plot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's like, oh, Jake's just living by himself. Like, basically. Literally, they just think, oh, we're just not going to, like, associate with the forest people anymore. But now they're going back. So it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. In hindsight, it feels like they could have made it a bit more dangerous, in a sense.
But, I mean, it's a Disney movie, so.
Yeah, you're right. It's fine.
They're not going to do that.
Anyway.
Okay. Well, those were all our cons. But here's an interesting fact that I read, and I don't know if you know this, but the oldest son, Nateyam, the actor, is in all 5 movies. He's listed in all 5 movies. Do you think he will be back in 3?
You know what? You saying that, I believe it, because they already pulled. I believe it because they already pulled random shit at the beginning.
That is true.
They
Yeah.
already they pulled some stuff out of their butts
And just said, here you go.
and just said, accept this. So I think whatever happens, if they bring him back to life or something, I'll have to accept it because I already have to accept other things.
And you know what? I think Kiri would do it. Some way, somehow.
Yep. Yeah. No, I believe that.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Kiri's anything randomly spiritual and
It's going to be with Kiri.
crazy powers, it's going to be Kiri.
Yeah.
Like, so if she brings him back to life, yep. Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was my fun fact. I read that and I was like, wow, this actor's listed for all 5 movies.
Oh, okay. Or what if
It's
what
just
if
like
it's small
flashbacks or
roles?
something.
Yeah, what if it's flashbacks every
yeah,
time?
I mean, yeah.
Who knows?
Could be.
But I guess, which then kind of sucks. But I get it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see if they're
We'll see.
flashbacks, if he's going to be coming back. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'll be seeing it on Disney Plus, so I cannot, in the comfort of my own home.
If he pulls hey, I'm going to increase the time because things are about to get crazy, then dang, yeah, I will probably just watch it at home too.
Did you know? So 3. Okay, another one. That fun fact before we close out. Did you know he submitted 3, and it's edited, and he submitted 9 hours for Avatar 3. Edited. I know. Isn't that crazy? 9 hours.
I don't need a director's cut, bro.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's crazy. Damn.
I was just like, what?
9 hours just to get cut down to 3 hours. Who knows?
Maybe 4.
No. What if like 6 hours of those is like
Spider
scenic
running
shots?
right.
Oh, shut up. I hate you. That's worse.
Oh man. Or
no.
scenic shots. Yeah, that'd be funny.
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't
Yeah.
have anything else. Do you have anything else?
Nope. Can't wait to see Fire Navi.
At home.
It's gonna be lit at home.
It's gonna oh my God. That was so punny. Well, thanks for tuning in. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon at NgoVo Convo, NgoVo Convo. The logo's above Harrison's head. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like button and notification bell to get updates for when we upload, and subscribe. Big red button below me. Let us know how we're doing. What do you want to see next? It's early on in 2023. We're going to do a lot of stuff. We're going to pump out a lot of things.
Are we?
Yeah, sure. 2023, the year Veronica starts editing more. Ha ha ha.
I love it.
But yeah. But also Harrison's going to be reading more One Piece, so you'll see a lot more of that.
What a random thing.
Bye-bye. See you next time.